Okay, so good morning, everyone. Today we are going to be talking about Google Slides, PowerPoint presentations, and just presentations in general, and how to make sure that you're giving ones that are clean, clear, consistent, and that you can engage with your audience with. So we're going to start kind of running through the basics on how to actually make a Google slide. Then we'll shift over into PowerPoint so we can show just a couple of the differences. And throughout it, we'll also talk about like I said, make sure that we're presenting in a good way that makes these presentations something people want to see, something people are going to listen to. So if you have Google Slides, just go to slides.google.com, or if you need to, you can Google that in and of itself. And then it'll bring you to this screen. So the first thing it's going to show you is any presentations that you've recently done. And this can be helpful if you already got one, you can just bring it up and work on it or make a copy of it once it's open. But in the meantime, we're going to just start with the blank presentation. Now, there's a few options as far as templates, because I love templates. I'm not a graphic designer. I have no idea how to make these presentations beautiful and fluffy from the very beginning. I'm not that great with raw design. Most people are not. If you are, fabulous. If not, that's what this template gallery here is for. So you can click on this and you can open this up to give you a template to kind of work with, kind of get started with. There's some very basic ones here in Google. What you're looking for is kind of something that's going to match the style. And then obviously you can switch out any pictures, graphics, or colors to make sure that it's matching your theme and your branding. One thing I will say while we're here on templates, you can have templates for different events. But when you're doing your general meetings or family nights or anything where you're presenting regularly to your people, you want to get your branding consistent. So whatever template that you do decide, for the most part, you want to continue to work with that and keep that as your template. You can make minor tweaks throughout the year, but if you have a shared drive, it's a great place to store it. But make sure everybody in your team who's going to be making these templates, or excuse me, going to be making these presentations, that you're keeping it similar. You're using the same colors, you have the same overall style. Now I will take a plug here because the template gallery here is kind of limited. You notice that there's not a lot. You can also go to free websites such as the swanslides.go, and you can find a whole lot more templates when it comes to Google Slides. For PowerPoint, theirs is built in right within the app. So if you're connected to the internet, I'm going to switch over to PowerPoint real quick. You hit File, and you hit New. PowerPoint is the same thing. There's templates that they put right there for you to use, but you can search office.com for new templates. If you have the most recent version, which I don't, but there's an option on there it will generate beautiful templates with any pictures and adjust it, and it does it all for you. So you can get a little bit of an upgrade to the most recent version. If you're in Seminole County, our students are provided with Microsoft Office. So if you want to, you can download that, and your kids, or you can use it. They can use it and show you kind of how to do it, or if you buy it. But I have the older version, so that's what we're working with today. Once you select a template or whatever that you're going to be working with, let's pick something here. All right, so the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to have your title slide. And I'm going with this template. It's what we're going to make today. We're going to make a presentation about presentations. So on the first part is you want your title, who's presenting, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a person's name, but you can put, ABC PTA. You want a title that's clear, to the point, and telling people what they're going to do. As you go throughout this, there's just like in PowerPoint, you can insert lots of different things. So you can bring in slides that you've had before. You can insert pictures from just about anywhere. So if I were to Google some pictures of, let's do trees. So if I wanted to insert a picture of a tree, I can just copy that image with Control-C, and then do Control-V to press it right in here. It will work for me. There we go. And you can insert images. You can change them out. So if I wanted to, let's say I wanted to put it there, but now I don't. I'm going to change it out and put it over this one. So you can delete the images and put them back in. Very similarly, you can also embed videos. This is very helpful with your presentation. So if I'm starting to talk about this idea and someone online has already said it way better than me. You can absolutely embed that. Or if you're doing like a presentation on kind of what's happened, you can insert your own videos that you've recorded. So if it's a welcome back to school, maybe you can get a video of your principal welcoming your families. With most presentations, you want to keep it depending on the topic. You know, if it's expected that it's going to be a class, something like this, obviously your presentation will be a little bit longer. But if it's something that you're wanting to post online, and you're recording yourself saying it, you want to keep it 3 to 5 minutes at the most. Most people are only going to pay attention for 1 to 2 minutes at best. But if you can get them past that 1 minute, you're probably going to get a couple more. But you don't want to go too deep or too long on videos that you're posting online, because you'll lose people's attention pretty quickly. And so then same thing with like your text. You want to choose a font. Hopefully your PTA has gone through branding classes, or if not, stay tuned for the one later this week. But choosing a font for your PTA is very important. You want to continue to use it throughout all your presentations, Google Docs, wherever you're putting something in front of someone else, you want to use that same font. You want a font similar, you know, this is a good one. There's lots of other options here as well, but you want something that looks clear, crisp, and professional, but is just a little bit different, like Arial and Times New Roman. And what's the other one there? There's one more that keeps coming up as a default. Those are okay. You know, if you use them, you use them, but they don't give your presentations that little edge. So like this one down here, for example, that one is super cute. This one's cute, but they have like a little bit extra curve, but they have, they're giving you a little bit of difference. So people will recognize your font, even if they are not actively seeing it, but they do get used to seeing your colors and your font over and over again, and it helps build that brand identity. Another thing with slides, you can come here. If you have your template already, or you have your colors, it will give you different options for your layouts. So if I said, I don't want to have this just be a book and slide, I want to change the layout. Now, it's not going to delete your stuff, so you might have to move it around a little bit, but those options are there for you as well. If you want to change the background of your slides, that's up there as well. So we could change our background here to pink, or I can do it to add this to the theme, whatever that I need to do. So I can manipulate my background. I can manipulate the images that I'm looking for in creating the slides. So do we have any questions on kind of the basics on how to open up a slide and get started? All right, what are we thinking so far? Everybody ready to go and do a presentation right now? All right, awesome. So now let's go into some of the next things that you can do. Now let's say that you've got your presentation up, we're ready to sell it. A few things I want you to kind of notice here is there's not a whole lot of text. If you've ever been to a presentation where someone sits there and reads off the slide, that is going to be incredibly boring, because if someone is presenting and they're reading what's on the slide, the audience does not need the speaker. When you are having a presentation, very rarely do you want it to be literally what you're going to talk about. The only exceptions would be like if it's your budget, you have to give everyone a copy of your budget at a PTA meeting, or have it on a screen where everybody can see it. So something like that, absolutely, you're going to copy verbatim. And if it's bylaws, you're probably, if you're making a bylaws change, you're going to want to read that verbatim, and people need to be able to see it. So those are the two exceptions. Otherwise, you just want your main points. So if I were to start talking to this particular piece, you want to be comfortable and just have a conversation about whatever your point is. And the point would be what's on the screen or data. So if you want to talk about how much money you need, you could have a little thermometer and talk about you can have notes in your hand or notes right in front of your computer screen, but you want to make sure that it's conversational, right? You don't want to just read what's on the screen because your audience can do that themselves. You want to be the storyteller. If you want to, after this, go online to Google or YouTube and research some storytelling tips. Storytelling is one of the best ways to communicate with an audience, even if it's the most boring information. If you can put a little bit of a story behind it, that will engage your audience. So make it relatable. If you're talking about budgets, if you're funny, make a budget joke. If you need to talk about maybe something that you guys weren't sure about, you went back and forth, you don't have to go over the discussion, but like you don't have to tell people what everyone talked about at the meeting, but you could say, we were looking for a program that would increase literacy for our students, et cetera, kind of telling people that back piece to what you're doing. Because people don't, anybody can see your what, you know, that's what's going to be on your screen. What you want to be able to do when you're giving a presentation is explain your why. And you can do that through images and putting a little bit of information on your slide. Super important though, not to just read it, right? Everyone is ready and super excited to be storytellers, right? All right. Once you've built a slide, now you can start getting creative. So if you want to add different things in here, as I mentioned, you can embed videos. You can embed your own videos or videos from online. So if we click that, you can search, because YouTube is owned by Google, you can search right here. So if I want to find one about soccer, for example, I can come here and embed any one of these. So now let me see, we're talking about public speaking. So let's switch that up. I want to embed another video. So I'm going to insert this one. Again, this one is super long. So we'll probably would not want to include that one. And we'll take this one here that's just 1 minute. And we will insert this video. So this will play when we are doing our presentation. So there's a few options. When we come over here, there's animations on the right. And you notice as soon as I put in this video, it automatically popped up the options over here. So when you have a video embedded in your slide, it depends on how you plan the conversation to going, or excuse me, how you plan the conversation to go. So if, for example, you came on this slide and you wanted to explain the stuff on the slide and then watch the video, then you would wait to play it on click like you see here. Now, if you're prepping people in this slide and you're explaining what they're going to see, what to look for, okay, now we're going to watch the video, you can come here and you can have it play automatically. So automatically is as soon as the slide starts, it's going to automatically play your video. And you can also have it start at a specific time. This one can be a little tricky, especially if you're not 100% sure exactly when you're going to start doing that. You can also mute audio. If there is a reason for whatever you're looking at. There are some videos, for example, where it explains things, but it's got really loud music in the background. So the video is fine, but not the audio. So you can mute that. And then, of course, you can adjust what the video looks like. You need to, just like you can with a picture. With Google Slides, you can measure exactly where you want it on the screen. That's an option also. And then this little drop shadow down here, you can check this on and off. And if you'll notice, what that does is add that teeny little shadow at the bottom, which can give it just a little bit of, hey, look, I got a video here. Another thing that I really like about Google Slides is the table ability. So when you're using programs like this, so Microsoft Office, if you have a web version of that, similar to Google Workspace, you can connect and use your apps interchangeably. So since we're in Google Workspace, this is exactly what we can do here. So if I wanted to share a budget, for example, I'm going to delete this picture out. I don't want this. I want to show my audience our budget on this one. And I'm keeping it in Google Sheets. So I'm going to open this pretend data here. And this is what, let's just say this is what we wanted to show our audience. So we've got our budget in Google Sheets. And we want to go over here. And this is what we want to show all of our people on our website. So few options, of course, you can take a screenshot of this and paste it in there as a picture. But what you can also do, so you don't have to keep doing that, you can copy your budget. And if you have a lot more lines like this, you would just copy it separately. So once you get that, you can come over here into your slide, and I'm hitting Control V, or you can do here, paste as well. And now here's where the cool option is. So you can link this to your spreadsheet. You can just paste it in unlinked, but that's going to come back to you having to redo it every single time. If you paste a spreadsheet into a Google presentation here, what it does is it automatically links the information that you have in the spreadsheet. So if you update your spreadsheet, this will automatically be updated too. So I'm going to pull this over because it's way too big. And you can still adjust it. It's still going to link it, but you can adjust it to fit your screen. So I take this, pulling it over a little bit. My computer wants to go slow. It's still a little too big. So now I'm going to shrink some font. Let me take all my font. And I'm going to go down to 8. Or my computer is slowing way down for me today. All right, regardless, it doesn't fit, but that's all right. You get the point. The data is always here. So now let's say that our budget changed and we decided we didn't want to have any revenue costs, which most PTAs will not have on their budget. But if in the event you needed to change something in your budget or have the updated information, or if you have this slide shared with your families as in view only, they can come in and see live updates. So if you can maintain a PowerPoint presentation explaining what your PTA does or what you're doing and keep it going. Like you could come in here after every event and kind of post a highlight. You could share that with your families, and this could be linked to your website and continually updating it. Just like with everything else within Google Drive, you can share this with others. If you have a Google Workspace, as we have taught in some previous classes, you can put it in your shared team drive. If not, you can just share it with a few people or share it with your board, but you can also have this option that anyone with the link can come in here and view, comment, or edit. I'm going to just say you are never going to want to do anyone with the link can edit. So not everyone's malicious, but some people can accidentally, delete or mess with formatting and font, and it can be a little difficult sometimes to figure out what they've done. So for the most part, you would probably want to be sharing this piece with the link. Now, if someone's working on it with you, your board can edit whatever that they need to do. So when you have that, lots of different options as far as embedding and linking things. So that way they can always see it, and they can always come and see what your newest budget is or what the newest things are. You can have a repeating post on social media for them to check the updated version. With that, if let's just say that something did go horribly wrong, we're working on a team, we accidentally delete something, you have the history here. And that's what I love about Google Workspace, because it'll tell you every time that it's saved. It saves every few seconds. You can come here and you can go to version history. So let's say I wanted to see what the version history was last month, or see what the budget was last month. I can come in here and see all the different versions of the slides. And you can go slide by slide, and it highlights everything that has been changed. So if you'll notice on this first one, since this was the very first time we opened it, all of this stuff was new. And we go to the next version, it only highlights what's been changed, right? Because we deleted that, we put it back, we added this slide. We added that video, so you notice it's highlighting exactly what's been changed. Now, if someone does do something absolutely just, oh my gosh, what happened? This is where you can restore that, restore and just work from this one. Use the one that you want. You'll see this button up here, restore this version. That's available to you. All right, so let's go back. Any questions so far? I'll start right there. Stop right there for a second. All right, so let's keep going. The other thing that you can insert are, Alexa, stop. Alexa's going crazy this morning. Apparently she's listening to my class. So diagrams are fabulous if you are trying to, one of the things I like to use them for is building kind of the team structure. So what you can do as a PTA, you have your president, right? And I do want to emphasize that nobody is anybody's boss in PTA. We are all volunteers and we all have different responsibilities, but no one's necessarily in charge. But what we do want to do is support each other. So if you're a president, your role is to support your entire team, right? To give them all the credit, all of the positivity. And if there are any complaints, that you take that. You're the face of the PTA. You are the communication, and your job is literally to support everyone else. And be that liaison, be the face of the PTA. It can be a little bit daunting. So this can be like a support structure that you're talking about. So if you have your officers, then would be next, you'd have your secretary. And then we can add some more. So if I needed to add additional to it, we can add additional layers. We can add more people to it, whatever we need to do. So you have your secretary and your treasurer. And let's say they've been around for a while and you have new people who need support. So our fundraising chair. I can spell right. And then, whatever you want to do. We can have our bylaws person. You can set this up so because everyone within your team, it helps really build that team morale. If they have partners, you know, like who should I talk to if I have a question? As president, you get to be that for everyone. Yeah. So those are there for you too. Lots of different options as far as what kind of charts you can put in there, diagrams. If you want lines, you can put all these little different lines in here. You can scribble all over your page. You can insert curvy lines. So it can go like this, and then you can turn it and turn it and turn it, and all kinds of fun you can have with these lines. And then let's see, what else do we got? Now you can also insert animations. So animations, I'm going to caution you a little bit about using these because with animations, I'm going to need to line this stuff. Oh, there we go. With animations, they can be a lot of fun. So that an animation is how something comes onto the screen, but you really don't want to overdo that because it makes your presentation start to look kind of silly. So if you want to have your slides transition from one to the other as you're speaking, you can do that, but you want to make it something short, sweet, and to the point. So you don't want a long transition. You don't want to be waiting 4 or 5 seconds in between each slide to get to the next one. So you can come in here, pick one, and keep it the same, whatever your slide transition is for your presentation. Again, that goes back to branding, make it do the same thing every single time. So if you choose dissolve, fade, whatever you want to do, we can do. I like dissolve. I think it's pretty simple, and it'll give you the speed. So if 0.1 seconds, that's enough to kind of give it just a little bit, but still move quickly. You have the option to apply to all slides, which is what you want to do. And then you can hit play just to see what it looks like. So that's what fade is going to look like, or excuse me, dissolve. So if I change this and I wanted to see what a different one looked like, I can do flip. And that way I can see exactly what everyone's doing, or excuse me, see what it's going to look like on all of my slides. You can do the same thing with individual items. So let's say if I was here and I wanted this to come in later, I can add an automation to it. So I can have it appear. You can also have things come in and then come out. So you can have things come onto your slide and go off of your slide. This can be really fun if you're doing like a PTA Jeopardy or a quiz night, or if you're bringing up a bunch of photos. It can be kind of tedious to go through and do this if you have a lot of these on one slide, but you can do it for individual items. So we're going to say we want this tip to appear when we click on it. So let's try that. If we hit play, it's going to show me this slide. And when I click on it, it's going to pull up my tip that I have here. So that's your option when it comes to slides and animation. All right, pause again real quick. Any questions? All right, well, let's keep going then. So formatting options are going to be similar to what you have in Microsoft Word. You can change your text up here. Again, we taught you want to choose a specific font, all kinds of different options along the top. Now your tools are pretty much similar to what they're going to be in Microsoft Word and Office. You have spell check. You can link different things in here. You can embed a link. So if, for example, I have a presentation and I want to say, join us, click here. You can highlight that and you can link it. Now, here's where this gets a little bit fun. Most people know that you can hyperlink like a website. So if I want to click here, I can say, I'm going to go to secpta.com and I can have it linked directly to the website. And if they click on it, that's where they're going to go. Now, another thing that I can do is I can link it to anything in my Google Drive or anything that's shared with me. So I can have this link go to, let's say I want it to go to the bylaws training. So if someone clicks on that, it's going to open up another Google slide or another Google Doc, and it's going to open that up where they can see it. Word of caution with that, though, you do want to make sure that the document or whatever you're sharing has been shared. So if you accidentally send something to a link that hasn't been shared or open, how we showed before, where anyone with the link can view it, if they click on this, it's not going to work. But one of the other fun parts about this is if you have a whole bunch of slides and you want to insert a new slide, and we're going to pretend that we want this to go to slide 5. So if you have a table of contents, especially if you're doing something, let's say you're talking about months. So if you're doing a monthly calendar, you can make like a table of contents and have things linked to those specific slides. So I could have, you could January, February, March, and have a slide for each one, and then you can link to a specific slide. So if you go here and you hit link, you'll notice that it gives you the options right here. And it's because it's trying to predict that for you. So if I want to see where is slide 5, I'm going to type in slide 5. And there it is. And so now if I click on this, it's going to take me within the same presentation to the next slide. And this is pretty cool if it's something that you're sharing with people and they want to be able to reference the data. You can also have a link here. So if I wanted to have a link that said, I'm going to insert some text. You can have this on each slide if you have a whole bunch of slides that want to go back to the beginning. So you can add that perhaps as a button. And so that way people are all done. They can go right back and go back to slide number 1 and look for something else. So I can say slide 2 because that's where my table of conference was, or table of contents. You can tell it's early, right? In the talk. So that's high level. That's kind of Google Sheets. And a lot of this, again, you can come in here, you can do lots of different options. Once you're all done with your slide, you can download it if you need to. So for example, if you have someone who just doesn't want to use slides, or you need it in a different format for whatever reason, PDF is probably a common one because that's going to convert it to a document. If you convert it to a document, all your links are still going to work. So we're going to do that right here. I'm going to show you how this pops out. This is typically what the format you would put it in when you're sharing or posting to your website. Again, you can put the slides itself, but depending on what you want people to see. So for the most part, a lot of people like to save them in PDFs, and this is what you can post to your website or share the link to social media if it's been put in your drive, and all your links will still continue to work. Now, your other option is to download it as an image or a vector file. This one is going to be rare. Vector files are usually only if you're having like t-shirts made or something like that. Sometimes they'll ask for a vector file. That's this option here. Now, images, your PNG is going to be a higher quality image. So usually that's the one that you'd want to use. JPEGs are if you're emailing or you need to store the image, but you don't have a lot of space. If you have Google Workspace set up, you don't really need to do that. You can just share the link to the image. You don't have to actually send the image itself. So JPEG is lower quality. Typically, you're going to use PNG. Now, one of the downsides or limitations, I should say, with Google Slides is you can only do this one slide at a time, which can be a pain, especially if you've got a lot of pictures or something you really want to just show everyone. Downloading them one at a time can be very difficult. So if you want to, you can download it as PowerPoint, or if you have made a PowerPoint, you can do it this way. Open. Oh, of course, it's not going to work for me. All right, there. Well, normally that would work. My computer has been having a little bit of issues. That's fine. We will just pick one of these. We'll make our own slide. So once it downloads, then we're going to say, well, we'll make a whole bunch of these. We'll just name them real quick, just so we can see the difference. All right, there we go. So we put some numbers on our slide. If it's in PowerPoint, we can go here. We can do save as. And we do have the option to save it as a PowerPoint presentation, which is what it will default to. Same thing as before. We have the option to save it as a PDF. You can save it as a theme. I would recommend this, and this is similar to what we mentioned in Google in Google Slides, saving it as a template. You can save this as a theme. That's what it's called in Microsoft Office. So same thing. Whoever's using it is on your board. They're using the right branding. They're using the right, using the right logos, everything like that. One of the favorite things, in addition to images, I'll get to that in a sec. I'll come right back to this. So images right here. You can do this and it's automatically going to give you ask you, do you want all the slides or do you just want the current slide? So this is what I mentioned, way easier to download all of the pictures at once if you've got a lot of slides. I'm going to cancel that. The other thing you can do in PowerPoint that you cannot do in Google Slides, at least yet, you can make videos. And this is one of the things I love to do when I'm making mini presentations. I used to call it a meeting minute something, where basically I did a recap of our monthly board meetings. of what we wanted to share with people. So upcoming events, what people are needed, you having that in the presentation, and you can just talk to that presentation and upload your video. Again, you want to keep it short, but here's how you do it. So if I'm going to do a slideshow, let's say we're going to talk about our carnival. And I'm going to talk about volunteers needed. And we're going to talk about, we're going to have some food and snacks. And then we're going to say goodbye. Okay, so we have our slides up here. This is what we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk really fast because I don't want to make a long video here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit record slideshow right here. So we're going to start recording from the beginning. Now, if you make a mistake, this is where you would want to choose start recording from the current slide because it records one full audio at a time. You can have multiple audio segments within the same slide, but it's a little bit more difficult to save it. So I highly recommend making sure that you're saying everything you want to say on that one slide and recording that and then stopping. Or you can continue to keep talking. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you how it works. Hi, this is our carnival. We need some volunteers. You notice up here at the top. Now it's food, and I'm going to pause. So now I've stopped recording. I can resume recording and keep talking on this slide, or go to the next one. Can you guys see that little bar in the top left? It's a little small, so I want to make sure everybody can see it. All right. Now I'm going to keep going. I'm going to resume the recording. We definitely need snacks, lots of snacks. And now we're saying goodbye to everyone. And the presentation is done. All right. Now, one thing I do kind of want to say, I talked really fast through that. Make sure you're kind of taking a breath in between switching slides because the audio may not pick up out as you're switching. So just take a half breath there. And now you see that you've noticed all these little audio pieces on these slides. That's how we're going to make a video. So if something goes wrong, you can come back in here and re-record, as I mentioned, from the current slide or pick a slide, or you can take the audio off, but it's going to automatically save it in these time gaps that you see here because that's how long I spoke on each slide. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to save it as this one. You have Windows Meta or Media Video, so WMV files. And this is really a great way, like WMV will let you load up YouTube and pretty much any video channel, Facebook as well. And we're going to save it as a video. Now, it could be my computer or just the fact that I have the older version. It does take almost as long as your video to save it. So this one's moving pretty quickly because it's only a 12-second video, but it almost takes just as long to save as it does to create it. Why? I don't know, but that is probably just because I have the old version. But it is creating that file. While it's doing that, as soon as it's done, you still want to save this as a PowerPoint because once you save it as a video, it's a video. You're not going to be able to come in and switch the audio out like you want or like you would want to. So if I wanted to, I'm going to save this as a PowerPoint as well. Now you can have audio on Google Slides. Again, you're going to have to push play, but it won't save it as a video. And you can push play or set it up as we showed before where it automatically clicks, automatically starts as soon as you open the slide. Those are your options, but within PowerPoint, it automatically does it for you, which is what I love. But if you save it as a PowerPoint itself, you can always come back and edit something. So let's say you accidentally said the wrong name or you said the wrong date and time, which I do all the time. You can just come back and edit the audio. Now, another cool part about that is let's say that you said the right date and time, but the date and time on the slide is not right. So I can change this to now we're talking about no food, or you can update your date and time. You don't have to change your audio. You don't have to fix the audio at all. You can always come back and change what's on the slide. Your audio will stay the same. So now let's see what happened. Come over here to where it downloaded. I have to remember where it saves. Let me go to, I was not paying attention. So if you don't remember where it goes, you're going to go back to File, Save As, so I can remember which folder it's in. All right, so it's in my Documents folder. on my computer. So that's a helpful tip for any file, any program that you're working on in Microsoft Office. If you're not sure where it's stored, you just go to Save As and it will show you the file path again. All right, so let's see here. All right, there it is. So it's opening up. Give me just 1 second. Here. I've got multiple monitors. Oh, yep. And that's it. And that's the video. And I'm going to stop it. And now I can upload that to YouTube and I can tell people really quick about what I'm talking about. You can do this also in Canva and a few other online apps. I like doing it in slides. When I'm doing a presentation, I want to turn into a video. And you can build it out of Google Sheets. And like I said, download it here and save all your images at once or turn it into an actual video. This is great when you're wanting to do something where you're trying to educate someone. Typically, you're probably not going to use PowerPoint or Google Slides if you are trying to entertain someone. That's probably where you're going to be recording yourself, but that same thing would happen. So if I have a video, let's say I'm going to insert a video. Let's say I'm going to insert this one. It doesn't want to work for me. All right, that's fine. What we'll do is we'll go back and we will embed a video from online, just like we did before. It's going to come over to our YouTube page. Let's embed this video because it's kind of short. So you find a video on YouTube if you want to embed it, and you can take the link for that here. And let's go back to our PowerPoint. So we're going to insert a video through a link. Oops, there we go. All right, we can. All right, it is not working for me, but anyway, I'm just not going to keep beating a bush around this one. But if you do put a video in here, it will play it. And when it's recording, whatever you're doing on the screen, so remember when we had the animations and everything and clicking, it's going to record exactly what you're doing. So however long it takes you, once your audio is done, it moves through. But if you're clicking on the screen or you start a video, it's going to be recording that. And it'll play play your words right at the same time you did the video. So let's say I brought this slide on, I started talking after, and then I showed the video, then I started talking again. That is how it's going to record and how it's going to download. All right, it's super exciting. Is anybody else as geeked out about that as I was when I first found it? All right, that's cool. I'm the one who is silly about charts. Similar to how we did in Google Sheets, you have the same options up here. You can insert shapes. I do like the smart art a little bit better in here because you can type it. So remember that hierarchy we were doing, or hierarchy, whichever way you want to say it. You can do it in PowerPoint by just typing it rather than having to, pull lines and drag everything. So I'm going to do that same hierarchy real quick, just to kind of show it here. You can choose your colors, but if I'm putting one in, you see how it turns it into a text, almost like outlined here. So I can say president, and then I can say treasurer. And now she doesn't have anyone underneath her, so I can delete that. It's automatically going to adjust it for me. However, however you do your bullet points, it's automatically going to do that for you. Now, another option, and this is available in Google Sheets too, these smart arts and these shapes, there's lots of different things that you can do with them. So this one, horizontal picture list, this could be something you could use to put in, hey, this is what PTA did. This was our fundraiser, and have a picture of that, or, this is our principal. So you can do these kind of text to images and it matches it and it lines it up. And same thing, you build things in Canva, you build things anywhere else, you can usually copy them in and things like that. You also have review, just like you did in PowerPoint, or spelling, research, all kinds of cool options there that you have to put in any of your presentations. I'll pause again. Any questions? Someone come off mute and tell me what you think, just so I'm not talking to myself all morning.
My brain is exploding.
And I'm sure that's it's good, right? It's good.
Yeah, this is a lot of information very quickly, and I'm going to definitely be watching the video over and over again to catch it all.
Absolutely. That's the hard part about classes sometimes. That's why, again, you can make videos and you can record it. But yes, I appreciate that. I do tend to talk a little fast. So if I do keep going, just let me know. I can always slow down. Is there anything you guys want to go back over? Anything you want to see again? All right. Last couple minutes, then we can talk about presentation skills themselves. The most important thing, as I mentioned before, when it comes to giving a presentation is know your topic. Do your best. And I know this is PTA. PTA panic is absolutely real. Like, oh my gosh, we need our presentation tomorrow, or we have our presentation in 10 minutes and it's not ready. That happens. Do your best to kind of avoid that, because you really do want to know your topic. If you want to engage your audience, if you want to be able to tell those stories, you need to know what you're talking about. So, and I'm not saying that in a way like you didn't know what happened. Everybody knows what happened, but you want, if you were there, you know what happened, you know what you want to say, but kind of practice it. Take a minute or two, especially if you're not used to public speaking. Practice it in front of a mirror. Practice it, record yourself, and then go back and listen to yourself. That's how you're going to build your presentation skills, because you want to talk, talk to people just like they're talking in real life. I could have laid out all of these facts and read them to you, and you probably would not have learned or listened to hardly anything I said, because it's not me talking to you, it's me reading to you, which is not what people are here for. They're here for this story. They're here to hear the conversation, to talk to you as a person. So when you're presenting, that's something that you want to remember. So keeping their attention, as if you notice, like throughout this presentation, I'm asking you guys have any questions. You guys are responding to me in chat, which I love. Do the same thing when you're presenting. So if someone has a budget, or you're bringing up the budget, like, hey, what does anyone have questions about the budget? Or if you're doing it in person, one thing I like to do, again, you don't have to print it out, but I like to print out 2 or 3, because you can say, would anyone like a physical copy of the budget at your general meeting? Because 1, as a member, they have a right to see it, but 2, it can be a good way to get people start asking questions. If you have 1 or 2 people, I've never had a lot. It's always been maybe 1 person that likes to see a copy of it. And then that person may ask questions like, hey, what's this for? And then you can explain it to them and maybe say, hey, you want to volunteer with that, So that's something, have something in hand you can give to people if they want it. Like I said, you're not going to print out 100 of them, because 100 people are not going to see the budget. They saw it on the screen. That's all they need. They don't need to print a copy, but that could be something to get people going. If you're doing a virtual presentation, have something in the chat, which is actually what I'm going to be doing for you now. You can do those quizzes, pop-ups. What I'm doing right now is I'm dropping in the chat. If you could, please give me a survey response. Let me know how this class went, anything you'd like to see differently. And you want to engage with your audience on chat. It's great if you have help, if you have a lot of people that you're going to be presenting to. If it's just a couple like this, usually 1 person is fine. Right? There's only 5 of us on this call, so I can handle all the questions and kind of talk to you guys, because it's a smaller, more intimate setting. But if there's 300-400 people and that chat is going to just keep going, you want to make sure you have help. So you want to have at least, the more people that you want to have, if you have 200 or 300 people, you want to have at least 1 person monitoring the chat. Either they can answer the questions if they're simple, or if it's something that not everyone wants to ask, they can bring it up, come off mute and have some backup, have some help. And then I think, that's pretty much the gist of it. You want to keep it simple. You want to get to the point, but as much as you can, use the stories, use a visual aid, have a picture of what you're talking about, and keep your branding the same. All right. Make sure your fonts are big enough for people to see, but not so big that they take up the whole slide. I'm trying to think. I think that's pretty much all of my tips. Again, just use your branding, be consistent, and be comfortable giving your presentation, and get in here and start clicking on all those buttons. There's so much that you can do.
Awesome job. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right, I will stop recording now.